Sadly, the mother of one of the Israeli hostages who has been held in Gaza by Hamas for almost 14 months just passed away without seeing her son's return from Gaza. His daughter wrote a post on Facebook that got me thinking about how Hamas knew what they were doing all along and just how sinister their plan actually was. We're going to dive into all of this here on today's show. I'm Justin, and this is the Israel Guys. A violent and murderous terror organization is dictating our lives from the Gaza Strip to the great United States, and the world remains silent. This was a post written on Facebook by Elan Siegel, the daughter of an American-Israeli man who is still being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza and whose mother just passed away. She makes a good point. How did we get to the point where a murderous, terrorist, horrible, evil organization like Hamas is dictating to the entire world? Keith Siegel was dragged from his home on October 7th and has been living in a living hellhole in Gaza ever since. That is, if he's still alive. The last his family heard of him was a propaganda video that Hamas released of him back in April, along with several other videos of different hostages. Well, sadly, Keith's mother just passed away without even seeing the return of her son from Gaza, which is absolutely tragic and horrible. Pray for the comfort of that entire family. Keith's situation, however, is just one of many. How is it that a terrorist organization can now have the sympathy of most of the world, and the world almost completely forget about the 97 hostages who are still being held captive in the Gaza Strip? How could thousands of people march in the streets in support of them, and educated college students go crazy over this cause of Palestine? Well, Hamas knew all of this would happen from the start. In fact, it was their plan all along. Let me explain. On October 7th, Hamas's goal was not to militarily defeat Israel. Of course, their ultimate goal is to wipe Israel off the face of the map, but they knew they couldn't militarily defeat Israel on October 7th, so they decided to play the civilian war. They didn't only go after military targets, they murdered as many people as they could, and they also kidnapped as many civilians as possible to use these captives, these hostages, as leverage in a possible ceasefire deal. Hamas does not care one bit about the civilians inside of Gaza. They knew Israel would retaliate, of course, and they did nothing to protect them. In fact, Hamas actually wanted Israel to retaliate. In all of warfare, civilian casualties are inevitable. It's a sad yet necessary reality of war. And even with this war inside of Gaza, the civilian casualty count is way lower than any other wars that are similar to this, like urban warfare. In a place like Gaza, where the population is so dense, Hamas knew that many civilians would die, despite Israel's best efforts to prevent it, which of course they do. So now the West gets this picture of civilians dying in Gaza. They see this on the TV with a little help from Hollywood with videos like this. And then everyone jumps on the side of all these civilians and they cry for a ceasefire, even though that's exactly what Hamas wanted all along. Every time Israel had gone into Gaza before or tried to retaliate with airstrikes when Hamas fired hundreds of rockets, say like back in 2014, the world cried for a ceasefire and Israel caved to the pressure, and Hamas knew this on October 7th. Guys, we'll be right back with the rest of the show in just 1 second, but first, whether you've been to Israel or are dreaming of making the trip one day, you will absolutely love I'm Israel, the Believer's Guide to the Rebirth of the Promised Land. Showcasing over 550 stunning photographs, illustrated maps, and powerful stories, this gorgeous hardcover coffee table book will take you on a visual journey through the land of the Bible and unveil the inspiring story of Israel in a way that will make your spirit soar. Through this book, you'll explore the epic regions of Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the coastlines, and the Galilee, meet Jewish pioneers who are returning to their ancient homeland just as the Bible foretold, discover stories of Christian heroes who played a pivotal role in the reestablishment of the nation of Israel, and learn about the Feast of the Lord from Passover to the Feast of Tabernacles, and see how they are celebrated in Israel. This vibrant, hardbound coffee table book is the perfect way to introduce anyone to the miracle of Israel, and for people with children or grandchildren, it can be used as a visual way to teach them the reality of the Bible. Order today and you'll also receive free digital copies of the best-selling I Am Israel movie and original motion picture soundtrack. Visit the book section at IamIsraelFilm.com or just click the link in the description below to get yours today. This time, after October 7th, however, Israel was not to be deterred. It's true, there have been a couple temporary ceasefires, but as soon as it was over or Hamas broke it, Israel has continued to systematically destroy Hamas from the face of the earth. Slowly but surely, they've been plowing through Gaza, doing everything in their power to prevent civilian deaths, while at the same time taking out hundreds of terrorists. And they've been largely successful for the most part. Most of Hamas's firepower is wiped out, they have no leadership to speak of, and over half of the Gaza Strip is now flattened. I think Hamas miscalculated this time, and we're counting on Israel to cave into the international pressure like they have done in past times and have a permanent ceasefire within the first couple weeks. However, Israel has shown absolutely strength this time. Shortly after October 7th, there was a poll among the civilians of Gaza on whether they approved of what Hamas did on October 7th, and over 70% of them agreed with what Hamas did and they approved October 7th. The question I have for them now is, was it worth it? Guys, I hope this war will be over soon. I believe it will. Israel's been doing an amazing job so far, and all of that with an insane amount of international pressure from the whole world, from the UN, from the ICC, from the Biden administration. They've been doing an amazing job. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump said on Truth Social this week that there would be hell to pay if the hostages were not released by his inauguration. He said this, quote, "If the hostages are not released prior to January 20th, 2025, the date that I proudly assume office as President of the United States, there will be all hell to pay in the Middle East and for those in charge who perpetrated these atrocities against humanity. Those responsible will be hit harder than anybody has been hit in the long and storied history of the United States of America. Release the hostages now." Trump's statement came the same day that the IDF announced that Omer Nutra, an Israeli-American serving in the IDF who has been previously thought to have been taken alive, was killed on October 7th, and that Hamas continues to hold his body in the Gaza Strip. Pray for his family. It's very sad to get that news when you've been holding on to hope for over a year now. It is believed that 97 of the 251 hostages who were taken by Hamas on October 7th now remain in Gaza. Israeli President Isaac Herzog welcomed Trump's message on Monday. He said, quote, "Thank you and bless you, Mr. President-elect Donald Trump. We all pray for the moment we see our sisters and brothers back home." Guys, in conclusion, let's continue to pray for Israel every single day. I cannot imagine what all of these hostages have had to endure for the past 14 months. Let's pray that Israel continues to have the strength to do what they need to do to root out the greatest evil on the earth today. Guys, don't forget to check out the I Am Israel photo book. Just go to IamIsraelFilm.com or click the link in the description below. Make sure and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. As always, stop listening to the lies and propaganda and connect with the truth of what is happening in Israel. We'll be back soon here at the Israel Guys. Catch you in the next one.